I think what's hard is when there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen is sort of deciphering the difference between what someone else wants because they think that's what it needs versus the people that know how to make something that's good. And you got to like trust your gut on what's good. It's nerve-wracking to fight for it because you second guess yourself, you can doubt yourself, and you get scared that if you fight too hard and you're wrong, what that would mean for future experiences. But I've learned the older I get, if it's like nagging at me, and that I got to, like, in the best possible way, fight for what's best for a story.
I just want to say that I get it. I acted out once too. You're not happy. There's a lot of trade rumors floating around. Right now, you're still on the waves, and your behavior is a direct reflection on this organization. So I am respectfully asking you to keep it in check.
Respectfully, I seen your titties on the internet, so I can't really take you serious.
I'm sorry. You want to say that to me again?
So great to see you. I was gonna tell you our close up. Oh my God. Okay, no, we gotta go. Let's go. Someone clean this up immediately.
Welcome to the Actors Side. So happy to have her here. I love this show. It's called Running Point. It's on Netflix. You'll start watching it and you won't stop. It's a wonderful comedy series, and I'm so glad to see you get a role like this, Isla, as well as so many other things you've seen her in, from her Oscar-nominated and Golden Globe-winning performance, Almost Famous, on through all the romantic comedies, on through all the other roles, and her first album last year, Glorious, also 2 books, also a whole company of, clothes and things.
I'm exhausted just hearing you
talking about it. This is Kate Hudson. Welcome to the Actors Side.
Thank you.
In other words, you do it all.
I've been doing a lot. Yeah. I had a friend the other day who was like, God, because our kids are starting to get a little, older. My son is 21, and she's like, God, it goes so fast. I'm like, that doesn't seem very fast for me. I think maybe it's because I just like to do a lot.
Yeah. Well, what drives you? What is that?
Oh, my heart and my gut. Sometimes I wish my brain entered more often. I'm getting better at that as I get older. But I mean, I just like to be creative but the thing that drives me the most is storytelling always.
Yeah.
Like no matter what I'm doing, it's always just the magic of storytelling is like what I know. It's like in my DNA, it's all I know.
Yeah.
And as a vocation, so things that move me to tell a good story is sort of what I'm drawn to.
Yeah.
Whether it's acting, music, business, it's sort of like, I think, at the core of everything. But like my heart and soul is in performance. So.
Yeah. I always knew you were musically inclined, but from 9, and I actually moderated a whole panel with all of you.
Yeah.
And
a little cinema Italiano.
Such
a fun
Italiano.
number.
It lives on the Blu-ray of 9, but then that was a great performance too.
Yeah.
That number.
So much fun. What a fun number that was.
And to work with Rob Marshall.
I mean, so lucky. And Daniel Day-Lewis. I mean, the whole I was just telling a story the other day too about Sophia Loren. I was just thinking, like, how lucky am I that I got to have, have these experiences with these incredible talents. And Sophia Loren was just one of those people. I was just in awe every day. Just stare at her, like, well, Sophia Loren.
You're Sophia Loren.
Yeah. One time I was doing my makeup in the mirror, and she looked at me, and she was very like, more blush. More blush. I was like, oh my God, I'm putting more on. I put so much blush on my face.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that movie was so fun, so much fun.
Yeah.
And
that gave you a chance to show your musical chops, and now you're doing it again, with your first album came out last year.
Yeah, that was like a long time. in the making. And honestly, I didn't know if I would ever have done it. I think COVID kind of was that moment for me of like, am I satisfied with my creative output? And the simple answer for myself was no. I didn't feel like I had really even like touched the surface and had to reflect and ask myself why. And so then since then, that's really just been my focus, is like what moves me creatively and what am I really putting out there? And am I too scared to put out things that are personal and why? And then it was just like, I just have to do it. And music to me that's just like my first love.
Yeah.
Musical theater was really where it kind of all started. And then when I got into like my teenage years, when you start to, when your hormones kick in, my emo music, the music lady in me got much more into like rock and roll and folk music and singer-songwriter but always as it pertained to performance as well. So, but then I got Almost Famous and
Yeah.
my life took off and I just never pursued my songwriting and
The different element of music and Almost Famous.
yeah, the love,
Yeah.
Cameron really put that, he opened a whole world up for me of bootlegs and going like really deep into, I was only 19.
Yeah.
So I hadn't really had that, that lesson, that experience and that knowledge of how deep you can go into music. And he really sort of just blew that open for me.
That's so great. And then I see you on a show I watched, The Voice, on Team Adam.
That was fun.
Doing that.
So much fun.
Giving
that
advice.
was so fun.
Did you love that?
I loved it because I love talent. I think about this all the time. Like, I want to teach. I don't know what that is. I think, I know that for myself, the only way I've been able to achieve certain things is to be empowered. Some people don't like that word because they feel like someone else is empowering you to do something. But I feel like if I wasn't empowered by certain people that I looked up to or trusted, and I wasn't given that like boost of confidence or the honesty or the hard truth, I don't think I would have the confidence to do a lot of the things that I've been able to do, and you kind of have to pay that forward. It's when you get a little bit older, you're like, God, I want to work. I see these young kids and I just love it. I love their passion for it. I love their passion for perform. And then you want to like just guide them. And, when I was I had so many amazing cheerleaders, that gave me not only like wisdom, but also like propelled me forward, like Cameron.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that getting all that acclaim for Almost Famous, an Oscar nomination, winning the Golden Globe? Was that overwhelming to you, or was that just a thing that, I'm in the right business?
I remember seeing Mikey Madison in after the BAFTAs.
Oh,
and I felt I understood where her experience, because it's such a whirlwind.
Yeah.
And it's hard to like take it all in as it's happening.
Yeah.
And you just kind of go with it. You're in the machine and you're going and you're traveling and you're with all the same people. It's like you're in this little class I was in like the class of 2001,
Right.
know?
Yeah.
But it's so much to process. And when you're right out the gate, when that happens and you're young, it takes a second to digest. That happens after, whether you win or lose. It's sort of like this incredible, wild entry into the business. It's like something you would never imagine would be your entry point. I think because I grew up with performers and people who are very practical. Like my parents are, they don't, it was, instead of this idea of like, oh my God, this is happening to our family or my daughter, or I think I got the opposite, which was like, okay, let's just not get too excited.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Yeah.
I felt I had a little bit more, I think, ground because I have such a solid family, understanding of the business.
But there's something that family's drinking because it's not just you, it's not just your brother Oliver. I just saw Thunderbolts.
Yeah,
Wyatt is a
Wyatt.
movie star.
I can't even take it.
There's no question.
He's so gorgeous and so good.
He's so good. In fact, I was seeing that movie to review it the other day, and I go like, okay, who's this? Who is this? I know he's in it. And, he just like transforms.
He's so great. He's such a good actor.
Yeah.
When Wyatt was a little boy, he was very hesitant of showing that his desire to act. He's going to kill me for telling this story, but I'm telling. And I remember he had an 8th grade play, and he was playing the Artful Dodger in Oliver. And I would hear him, he'd lock himself in the room and he'd listen to Cockney accents over and over and over again just to perfect it. And I remember, because I was 7 years older than him, I was like, oh, he's like, I'm like, I have to perfect things before I feel confident doing them. But there's that dedication that Wyatt had as a kid for everything he did, from sport to theater to anything he had to achieve. He's just 100% committed and dedicated, and now we're getting to see it in his art, and he's so good, and I'm so excited.
So great.
Yeah.
And I didn't even mention Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell.
The seed in the egg.
That's for sure.
We have different seed, Oliver and I, but it all comes from the same egg.
Oh yeah.
Or same uterus. But yeah, Mom, it's fit. Yeah, what are we drinking? I think again, it comes down to I really feel this way. We can talk about nepotism and all those things and this sort of access, right? When it comes to the art and really loving something and growing up in it and kind of, immersing yourself in it and really dedicating yourself to it, it's either is going to be good or it isn't, and it's either going to be received or it's not, and I don't think any director or producer or studio is looking at anybody who grows up in this town and thinks oh, well, they grew up here, we're going to, then they get the golden ticket, It really is about how you're raised. When you think about what our life is as a family or how we grew up, we love storytelling.
Yeah.
And the business has nothing to do with it. The business side's almost like a hindrance to this sort of love and desire to tell stories. It's sort of so it's kind of a weird thing to see from the outside in, but from the inside out, it kind of makes total sense that when you grow up in the circus, you end up in the circus.
Right. It does, which brings me right to Running Point, because that's what this is. This
circus.
may be about basketball, but it's not. It's about family.
Yeah.
And it's about all those interconnections and things. It's fascinating to watch you and the brothers and that dynamic, and then what the father instilled in you and having the faith here.
Yeah, and also
put you in charge.
There's so many great themes in Running Point. Running Point. My brother always is it's not Running Point, it's Running Point. Yeah, there's so many great themes and so many relatable ones for me with family dynamic. For sure. Just brothers alone. I'm an only girl and with all boys. So
the same as this show.
Same as the show. 3 brothers, only girl. And you do always feel on the outside. There's something about it that even as much as you want to be in the boys' locker room, as much as you want to be a part of that thing that they all have together, you just aren't, And it doesn't mean you don't have a very good, wonderful, loving role, but it is a little bit different. And I know what that feels like. And then on top of that, in this, you kind of take that family dynamic and then put Isla in this, what a traditionally male-dominated industry, and then having to lead it.
Yeah.
And it's you're just, what a wonderful, foundation for comedy and, great
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
perfect for comedy. You know,
so much fun.
you and Brenda Song, who works with you, are the new Lucy and Ethel for me.
Oh my God, Brenda's gonna love that so much. I love her so much. She's so good, and she's
so good. And she was in Last Showgirl. I did a thing with them, and I just thought she's
wonderful.
Watching her, she's really coming into her own on this show, and showing what she can do as well with comedy.
Yeah, and I also like she, it's the cliche of like you're only as good as the people that you're doing things with. Like she's so wonderful to work with. She also was only boys, so her and I are very like, it's like we're like this in this dynamic. All the boys around us, and we're just like linked arms. And she knows so much about sports. She's a real sports fanatic. So she's really like, she's right in the pocket in this.
And watching Isla go for it against some of these, particularly the tattooed basketball player, those scenes are hilarious. But
with Chet.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, Chet was so great. That's so great.
Really good. But this was Jeannie Buss's story, or partially, or?
Well, Jeannie Buss is one of the producers on it, and she went to Mindy Kaling, our creator, long time, like 6 years ago, and was just like, my life, this, she loved The Office and was like, this is a comedy, and and Mindy was like, yes, of course, like what a great world to, get into. And then Jeannie has been so amazing because she just gives us so much freedom. She's not there to micromanage in any way. She really trusts Mindy and Ike Barinholtz and Dave Stossner, writers, showrunners, and to just do our thing. So it's very loosely based on Jeannie's experience. But, there's a lot of Easter eggs in there. I think a lot of fans that know the Lakers and see a lot of the Easter eggs, but we really took a lot of creative license and sort of just based it on her experience.
She never ran into windows and doors.
I don't know. I haven't asked her that question, but I could. That was actually really fun because every time we walked by it wasn't in the script, but every time we walked by that door, we were like, God, who's going to be the first person
to go through it? That's like this building here. It's all that.
And I was like, I think I should. Let's keep running in. And so
it's funny. It's great physical comedy too, to do scenes like that.
I love physical comedy. Comedy is the most challenging, because you have to walk such a fine line of, depending on tone. If it's broad, then you go wherever you need to go. But you still have to walk a line, and it has to be grounded in some sense of reality for people to be able to connect to it. And so walking that line is always, it's just so much fun, and it's such a challenge. And then honestly, editors, like if one of the being able to edit for comedy, I think is one of the most challenging things. I feel like great comedy editors are sometimes like not really talked about enough because they're few and far between. And when you get those that really understand like, timing and that, it's like choreography.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, oh yes.
Yeah. And you do the performance and you're sort of at the mercy later of whatever they come up in the editing room with the director and those editors.
Yeah. And I think what was really refreshing about this experience for me personally as an EP on it was actually, it was a real group, like wonderful effort, and we worked so well together. There was absolutely no egos on this set. And so when it came time to edit or to start to work with music, like Mindy was so open with me being in the room, and it was just this wonderful collaborative effort, which I think made it the best possible show it could be. Mindy knows how to edit that comedy and and edit for the pace, and I got to go in there and pull back and say, we got to open this up and get connected. And so we had this really like wonderful, like symbiotic connection when we were doing post on this, and I really loved it. I love Mindy's such a great, great partner. It's the first time I've had an experience like that. It's like I almost felt like I got a master class in how to give people room to do their best.
Yeah.
Really,
It's surprising because, boy, when you look over your credits, you've done a lot of comedy. You know, you were called the queen of rom-coms for a long time doing those movies, and, you know, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and on and on and on. I mean, we could go on with that, but it's like, what did you learn? Just
I've
doing,
learned so much.
Yeah.
I'm always learning.
yeah,
It would be so awful if that stopped, you know, if the learning stopped. I think the thing though I've learned, you got to do what's good. I think what's hard is when there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen is sort of deciphering the difference between what someone else wants because they think that's what it needs versus
Yeah.
the people that know how to make something that's good.
right.
And you got to like trust your gut
Yeah.
on what's good and fight for it. And I think it's nerve-wracking to fight for it because you just second guess yourself, you can doubt yourself, and you know, you get scared that if you fight too hard and you're wrong, you know, what that would mean for future experiences. But I've learned the older I get, like if it's like nagging at me, and that I got to, like, in the best possible way, fight for what's best for a story.
Yeah, which
And
is what your character does, fights for what best, you know, when you hear the phrase woman in a man's world, or, you know, this is all like she's just there. No, you know, it's different. I think times have changed, and
Yeah.
this show is right up with that change.
Yes.
You know, the way we're seeing her week to week to week. There was a scene where you're with you and Brenda, and you're both on alternate phones making a deal and all that stuff, and you can see the smarts.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all about her trying to prove that, you know, to her family.
Yeah, and it really is about family because I think it's, you know, when it comes down to it, you know, that's really like what pulls her. Like it's I can relate to this too. It's like, you know, you could do it yourself, but you want your family to see you,
Yeah.
you know, and that this being like a family business is so much more powerful than it just being, and kind of like pulls at your heartstrings more obvious because it's the people that matter to you the most. It's not, you know, the stakes are so high because it's not only like this huge franchise, but it's your family legacy.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of a comedic succession in many ways, too.
Yeah.
Watching that
Oh
whole
my God.
manipulation that they
Oh.
tried, or, you know.
And aren't the boys so much fun? I
great.
love that. I call them my show bros. I go out to dinner. We go out to dinner all the time, and my brothers, my real brothers, are like, why are you always going out with your show brothers? And so I was like, oh, show bros. They're my show bros.
I love it.
I'm like, because they're much more fun than you guys are.
Well, you're going to have a second season, right?
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
so excited. They've been crafting it, and I got a little glimpse. And
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Ike Barinholtz here.
he's
doing
such a great writer. He's got such great energy.
Yeah.
He's so motivated and motivating, and he's so much fun. And him and Dave, our other showrunner, who is like the meat and potatoes of the experience. You
Yeah.
know, for me, Dave and I walk through it day to day together on set, and Dave is like one of the great human beings on the planet, and also so smart, so funny. So him and so grounded. So him and Ike have this, like me and Mindy have this very, like, they're very different energies, and then together, like, the most beautiful, you know, team. And so I remember at the end of the first season, I was like, God, I hope this thing goes on for a long time because this is the most fun I've ever had on it. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to spend my days away from my
family with. If I'm going to spend my time away from my kids, it's got to be with these guys.
Well, you can see this on Netflix, but I have to say, I'm waiting for Christmas Day because you're back on the big screen. I've heard about this film, Song Sung Blue.
Yeah.
Song Sung Blue, you and Hugh?
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman, and it's a true story, right?
It is. It's based on a true story, and it's about this couple in the 80s, 90s who had a Neil Diamond tribute band in Milwaukee, and the accent comes back. I'm like Milwaukee, but and they became this sort of local sensation.
Yeah.
And they were wonderful musicians, but really is just an amazing love story. It's a real wonderful. I just saw it. It's a wonderful film, and Craig Brewer's the director, and he did an amazing job, and I can't wait for people to see it.
Yeah.
And he was the most wonderful human being on the planet. I feel so lucky that we got to be married once.
That's so amazing. And Hugh Jackman, that's pretty fun, huh?
Yeah,
I mean, and the whole story, it was Neil Diamond a part of this in terms of...
we've it's all Neil Diamond songs, and because that was their tribute. They had sort of a band that paid tribute to Neil Diamond.
Amazing.
And yeah.
Well, Focus Features is going to release that on Christmas Day. Nice gift. And Running Point is on Netflix now. You can binge it or watch it once a week, however you want to watch it.
Make it go longer.
Let it go, and we'll get a season 2 too. This is Kate Hudson. Thanks for joining us.